Hi, good morning. Do you know what's better than Halloweentown? Halloweentown 2, Kalabar's Revenge. And do you know the funniest thing about Kalabar's Revenge? Kalabar isn't even in it. But don't worry, you don't miss him. So the movie picks up 2 years after the Cronwells saved Halloweentown. Grandma Aggie has been living with the family in the mortal world, causing tension with Gwen over her constant use of magic. Marnie chats with Luke online, telling him that her mom and grandma are fighting again. Because it's Halloween, of course they're fighting, it's tradition. And a face appears over her shoulder. She senses it but doesn't see anything, and excuse me, what a creep. What if she was doing anything else? Downstairs, the house is full of kids on Halloween night. Mom and Grandma again argue over Aggie teaching Marnie to become the head of the Cronwell line of witches. Sophie heads to talk to Grandma, who is spying on people in Halloweentown with her crystal ball. She ends up telling Sophie that Marnie will have to choose which world she wants to live in, but why? Why must she? Who says? In the kitchen, Marnie reassures her mom that she's not turning against her. Gwen explains that magic makes things worthless because you can get anything you wish for just by wishing. And Marnie says that she doesn't use magic for everything, but Gwen says that you can't pick and choose. But you can, though. You can. Enter Cal. His dad, Alex, introduces them, saying they just moved in down the street. Cal flirts with Marnie, telling her that if all witches were as pretty as her, they might have a better reputation, and Marnie momentarily forgets that she's wearing a witch's costume. Alex gives Gwen 2 giant tubs of ice cream and says, "I hope you like lime. Green is my favorite color." And Gwen's just like, okay. And she's so right. Like, okay, thanks for telling me. That's good to know. Marnie gives Cal a tour of the house and learns that he just moved in tonight. Not even today, just tonight. When he sees her room, he comments on how ordinary it is, as if he hasn't seen it before. And Marnie decides that she'll show him Aggie's room to impress him. Girl, no, you don't even know him. In Aggie's fully magic-y bedroom, Marnie dismisses magic as not real and says that she only knows pretend spells, and explains to this strange guy that in the totally fake world of magic, there are basic spells that every witch knows, and then there are special spells known only by the witch who created it. Cal spots Aggie's spellbook, and Marnie stops him from looking at it, fully blocking him with her body, only to turn her back so he can steal it anyway, and he does, because surprise, Cal is a warlock. So he shrinks Aggie's spellbook and pockets it. Oh, and he's the creep, by the way. They head back downstairs and Cal brings up the high school costume party, scoring an invite with Marnie. He says that he'll be back in an hour and heads to the bus stop. But back at the house, Aggie's magic bag is suddenly empty. Dylan isn't surprised that her bag's empty, naming everything that Aggie is constantly pulling out of it, but she explains that it can't be empty because it's connected to her house in Halloweentown. Aggie and Marnie leave to go check on her house, and they leave behind headphones to call each other, and I hate these things. I hate them. Aggie created them herself. She's such a maker, and that's great, but I hate them. They find the bus stop is missing, and the bus can't be summoned, so together they open a portal to Halloweentown themselves. Why not just do that to begin with? If you can open a portal, why would you take a bus? Aggie is rejuvenated stepping through the portal, but the girls are aghast to find Halloweentown in grayscale, with the giant jack-o'-lantern replaced with a big brick block. They find Luke gray and turning human again. Aggie says the spell is turning creatures not only gray but into boring humans, and Marnie wonders who would cast a spell like this, and having seen the whole movie, yeah, I actually don't understand the purpose of turning the Halloweentown creatures into humans if you hate humans. Aggie calls Dylan on the headphone and sends him into her room to find a spell from her book because you can undo a spell by saying it backwards, but they discover that her spell book is missing. Marnie admits to taking Cal into Aggie's room but insists that he wouldn't steal anything. Girl, you don't even know him. Why are you so sure of that? You just met him. Marnie and Aggie fail to open the portal, and Aggie realizes that they've been tricked into a trap. They hear Cal and turn to find his face sticking out of the giant brick block, and oh my god, I lost it. I laughed so hard I nearly screamed. No hair is a choice, but like I get it because it's cement, so hair would be weird, but it's still just, it threw me seeing this guy, his face sticking out of the block. I lost it. I died. Cal reveals that he cast the spell from Aggie's spellbook, which like we know, that's why they were looking for it. But he says, "You naughty girl. Why is he like this? Why is he like this? This is an old woman. Show her some respect, you creep." Marnie says that Cal tricked her to get to the book, but he corrects her, saying that he tricked her because he wanted her to show him the book because she felt something between them. What? a psycho. She realizes that Cal is Kalabar's son, even though Kalabar didn't want anyone to know that he had a son. He inherited his father's attraction to and rage against the Crownwell witches for their domination over Halloweentown, even though his dad was literally mayor. Aggie was just a woman in town, and Kalabar was mayor. Like his father, he wants creatures to rule over humans, and he blames the Crownwells for turning everybody against his dad. But dude, they didn't have to influence anybody. Nobody was into your dad's plan. I was literally there. Were you there? No, because he didn't want people to know you existed. So why are you following through on his dumbass plan when you're criticizing Marnie for falling in line with her mom? Cal offers for Marnie to learn his dark magic, but Marnie refuses and Cal disappears. Aggie summons Betty for a ride back to the house, and she warns that if Cal is willing to break the code of Merlin, stealing the spells of another witch, then he's capable of anything. Back at the house, which has been grayified, they can't find the second copy of the spell book. Marnie insists that there must be a way out of this trap, a spell. Oop, Luke's fixed. Something broke the spell, but they aren't sure what. Aggie finally realizes that the spell book is probably lost, which would mean that it ended up at Gord's house. Back at home, Dylan tells Gwen that Cal is a warlock and he stole Aggie's spell book, but she just doesn't believe him. And I don't know why, because she is a witch. And she dealt with an evil warlock 2 years ago, so why would it be so crazy for it to be happening again? Alex shows up dressed as a frog and offers Gwen an ugly goblin mask that Cal chose specifically for her to go to the costume party. Arriving at Gort's house, everything is cleaned up and cleared out. Aggie starts to feel the effects of the gray spell, but remembers a creature spell that was used on humans who dressed up for Halloween, which turned them into whatever they were dressed as, hence the ugly goblin mask for Gwen. At home, Sophie figures out that Alex might be a golem created by Cal. She convinces Dylan that they should go to the party, and he agrees, just to prove to her that nothing is wrong. Kind of like how he went to Halloweentown just to prove to himself that Marnie is crazy. As Marnie, Luke, and Aggie are trapped in Gort's house, Marnie tries to come up with a workaround to escape without having to break the spell. She thinks of time travel, but beyond writing down a spell, Aggie is no help as she just wants to match socks as boring humans do. Marnie manages to travel to a time before Gort's house was taken over by the gray spell. An angry, grumpy Gort tries to kick her out, but she leverages her knowledge of what's to come to convince him to let her and Luke look for the book, the copy of the spell book that Cal took. Gort says that Kalabar bought the book about 50 years ago, and Marnie realizes that Cal stole the spell book not because he needed it, but to prevent them from using it to undo the spell. Luke reasons with Marnie that she must have undone the spell before because it hasn't worn off for anybody else. They think back to what Marnie said, and Luke realizes that Trappa is a part backwards, and he questions, does a spell have to be long? I would think, just for security safety reasons, a spell should be more than one word. But you know what? He's a smart guy and he figured it out. I would trust him to drive a bus. He's literally right, but he has to convince Marnie to try it, and she does. She casts it on Gort, and oh my god, Marnie, you can't just cast a gray spell on somebody as a test. You could have done it on anything else. It seems to work on objects. But it works on Gort, and she reverses it with Trappa, and then she does it again, a second time, and then back again. Why? You know it works. There's only 15 minutes until the portal closes, and Marnie lost the paper with the time travel spell, and when something gets lost at Gort's house, it's gone forever. Dylan and Sophie find their mom at the costume party and fill her in about Cal being Kalabar's son, and Sophie conjures up a big juicy fly to prove to her mom that Alex is a golem made of frogs when he shoots his tongue out to catch it. Gwen turns him back, so now there's just a giant pile of frogs in the middle of this high school party. She tries to call Marnie on the headphone, but she's out of this dimension. When Marnie can't remember the spell, Gort shows her to a timeline that he has in the closet, and she and Luke fly back to the right time. Why didn't you show her this before she conjured up 8 gnomes? Mom and the kids keep an eye out for Cal, who's just chilling in the ceiling beams. The partygoers count down to midnight for a full minute on Halloween? I don't know why. Marnie and Luke arrive back at the right time, and Marnie reverses the gray spell on Aggie so they can reopen the portal, but it closes on them. Cal drops in on the stage and casts the creature spell on the audience. Marnie won't accept waiting in Halloweentown while a full year passes in the mortal world, and Aggie says that they can't change the rules. But why not? Who says? So Marnie calls Sophie on the headphone, and they coordinate to open the portal from both worlds, creating their own spell to do it. Cal watches in shock as the Crownwells reunite. He confronts Marnie, and all of his creatures chill. Like, there was chaos, but now that there's a confrontation, they're all like, ooh, what's going on? What are they arguing about? It's so funny. Cal says his dad was right. Marnie's the enemy and always will be. But, like, when did he tell you that? He didn't even know her, and then he got trapped in a talisman. Marnie demands Aggie's spellbooks, and Cal holds them out, covered in thorns, daring her to take them, a test to see if good is stronger than evil. Of course it is, and Marnie takes the spellbooks, sending Cal into a fit, and he disappears into I don't know where, but he'll be back, and we'll be waiting. Together. Aggie reverses the creature spell, and everyone returns to normal. Maybe it's time for all these kids to go home. Now that they can open a portal at any time, which they apparently could have done before, but didn't because of the rules, Marnie can spend time in both worlds. Although Grandma Aggie says that she doesn't know what she's going to teach Marnie since she already knows more than her, and isn't it funny that she says that on the same day that my grandma told me that my apple pie was better than hers? I mean, it was her recipe, so I don't know how that's possible, but she said it. Aggie and the kids head back to Halloweentown, and Sophie runs around reversing the gray spell. Luke peer pressures Dylan into using the spell to fix Benny. Aggie fixes the giant jack-o'-lantern, the theme plays, and Halloweentown is saved once again. Real quick, can we talk about the conflict here? Because Cal didn't want to be forced to live in Halloweentown because he was a warlock. And by the end of the movie, Marnie doesn't want to be forced to live in Halloweentown if she chooses being a witch. And he broke the code of Merlin because he didn't want to follow those rules that somebody else set up. And Marnie creates the portal going against the rules. But, like, he wanted to literally rule the humans, you know? And she just wants to live her best life. It's the both worlds. Chill it out, take it slow. Because the time distortion between Halloweentown and the mortal world is weird. What is with that? What is with the time between Halloweentown and the mortal world? I truly don't understand it. So, like, Sophie had said that if Marnie went to Halloweentown for a year, that from Halloween to Halloween, that would feel like 100 years to her. So that means that at the start of the last movie, when Grandma Aggie is showing up after not seeing the kids since the previous Halloween, that had been 100 years for her. She was not in a hurry to see those kids. I mean, I guess if you've not seen your grandkids for 100 years, it's like, what's the rush? But I don't understand how that works. How is time passing differently in Halloweentown? And what do they do there? I don't care.